Yes, the lion sleeps tonight, and the lion is actually sleeping over the head of one of our good friends who happens to be in the jungle, the mighty jungle, right now. Robert Johnson from Myrtle Beach Safari and the Tigers Preserve in the Anacostia area is on his own safari right now in Uganda as we speak. Idi Amin is no longer there, but Robert Johnson is. Robert, we appreciate you. You. Like you said, you're in close proximity to a lion right now, right?
I am indeed. In fact, I'm in Ashasha National Park. It's part of Queen Elizabeth National Park. On the western side of Uganda, right next to the border of the Congo. And this place is renowned for their tree-climbing lions. So I've spent this morning tracking those lions, and I figured it would be a great place to try and call in. I've got about a 500-pound male lion in the tree right behind me, hanging over my head, listening to this interview, making sure I don't screw up.
Oh, boy. Okay. Well, before we get into all the amazing things you've been seeing, there is a mission that you have as part of this this visit and this trip. Tell us what your mission is.
Well, we have a very big mission of conservation. So the very early part of this trip, we brought a bunch of guests from the United States on a photographic safari to kind of educate them, get them close to animals in their natural habitat. And then when they come back to the U.S., I spend another 3 or 4 weeks in Africa helping to work on different conservation projects, delivering equipment into the bush to the rangers, the people that desperately need it, to help save these animals in their natural habitat. So that's one of the main reasons that I'm here in Uganda right now.
Now, I have to ask you, because I always follow you on Facebook, and when I die, I want to come back like you, that's for sure. But can you tell us a story about the traveling ukulele?
Oh, geez, the traveling ukulele, that has kind of become my own flat Stanley, the little cutout guy that school children send around with their families and take pictures of it all over the world. I've started doing that with my ukulele because I take it everywhere. It's a way to keep myself amused, and traveling through Africa, everybody loves it. Everyone wants to play it. So, yeah, of course, you saw on Facebook some of the crazy places. I took a picture hanging over the edge of Victoria Falls with it, that kind of stuff. Don't try that at home, though.
Now, this safari, is this the safari that you go on a yearly basis where you actually will take people along with you from the Grand Strand area that want to travel with you?
It is, in fact. Yep. It usually happens mid-November, so just about 2 weeks or so ago, that annual safari finished up. We take a group of people from the Grand Strand area, from around the country, in fact, and we take them on safari to see animals in their natural habitats up close and in a way that they've, I'm sure, never seen before. So this is essentially an extension of that trip. Afterwards, that again, I spend 3 or 4 weeks out in the bush doing conservation work after that safari concludes.
Now, people can follow you on Facebook, Robert Johnson, with an O-N at the end. If there's anybody out there, there's a lot of young people listening right now, getting ready for school, on their way to school. If someone wanted to follow in your footsteps, what would you recommend them do? I mean, if they really have a passion for the jungles and South Africa and these magnificent creatures all around the country and the world, what could they be doing? What should they be thinking about?
Education is very key in a lot of this. So, getting an education about wildlife, finding out exactly what it is that they want to do, because there are so many different avenues. They need to come out and explore and try and figure out what it is that they want to do. And then many of the conservation organizations around the world are desperate in need of help. So they can just directly email those people, contact them, and find out what it is they can do. And, over some time, you start building experience and productive for a lot of these organizations.
We're talking with Robert Johnson from the Myrtle Beach Safari and the Tigers Preserve. He's alive in Uganda right now. My wife and I were watching something on PBS. It was a 4-part special, a couple of countries over from you in Mozambique, from the Gorongosa Park that they have there, where they're trying to get the lion population back up because it had been decimated by warring factions that were there that were killing all the big mammals just for food. And now they're finally starting to get back up. Do you see that across Africa, where there are some groups that are out there that are trying to preserve the large mammals, but others that just really don't care?
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of defines Africa in itself. We actually end up doing some work in the Niassa Wildlife Park with lions in Mozambique. But literally 20 miles from where I am right now is the border of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. There are, I think right now there are 23 different rebel groups that are all fighting each other, trying to seize power of different regions of the country. And unfortunately, a lot of the wildlife goes to feed those people. They will end up slaughtering elephants for their ivory to actually fund a lot of those rebel activities. So it certainly is a major issue, particularly in places in Africa that are not that stable.
Now, Prince Harry has just been wrapping up his tour of South Africa and denouncing the ivory trade and trying to do what he can to bring attention to the endangered animals there. What do you think about what he's doing? Is he right on track? Or, is he doing the right thing?
He is absolutely right on track. And we need people like him out there talking to people, talking to the public, explaining really how much this is decimating the wild, and as many people as we can, as many voices as we can get to let the public know that, even though we're a long way away from it, this is all of this stuff is happening, and it's directly going to affect us, our children, and our grandchildren. So I think what he's been doing needs to be applauded.
We're talking with Robert Johnson from the Myrtle Beach Safari. On safari, when I say on safari, you're not actually shooting or killing. You're actually maybe shooting with a camera, but that's about as close as it gets, obviously. But obviously, in the past couple of weeks, we saw, as far as some large mammals, like one of the last white rhinos died. I think there are 3 left in the world right now. We see so many of these animals that are dying, and unfortunately, we might be seeing a lot of extinctions during our lifetime. As a matter of fact, we do, but we just don't know that they are happening. What can we do as an individual to kind of stop these things? I mean, a lot of people look at these, it's like, I can't do anything. I hate to see it happen. But what can an individual just do to help you and to help other groups?
The main thing we can do is be conscious about what we consume, especially in the U.S. We're such a consumer society. So we should be very conscious of how much we consume and exactly what it is that we do consume. I know that we've talked about it in the past using palm oil. That is one of the major things that is destroying habitats for orangutans in particular, tigers and gibbons and rhinos in Southeast Asia. Using farmed lumber as opposed to hardwoods that are coming directly out of the forest. All of that wood is illegally being poached. And so being conscious and not contributing to the problem is one of the best ways that we can all actually help.
Now, you have told us many times that the tusks aren't, the wanted part of the tusk is not just the part we see protruding from the animal's head. It's way up in the jawbone and the skull, and that's why the whole entire animal needs to be killed in order for poachers to harvest it. I was reading in a National Geographic magazine that a taxidermist actually implanted a GPS chip into a tusk, and they wanted to track it to see what happens in this illegal trade of ivory. Have you followed that story at all?
I have heard about that being done. I don't know all the details about it, but I mean that is an ideal thing because of course the people on the ground doing the poaching are a big problem, but the biggest problem is the people that are smuggling this in mass, the organized groups, and this is no different than any other type of organized crime. That it's millions in dollars are worth of ivory are being smuggled all the time. So we need to find those suppliers and also try and educate the consumers that this is not a sustainable way of life. It's not a sustainable product that they should be buying.
So basically what you have is like poverty in Africa, and these people that are so poor and desperate are killing these animals to sell to this insatiable desire for people in China to have these ivory tusks. And
you know what? Usually it's the people that are more poor are the ones out there that are subsistence poaching. You know, they're killing an antelope to feed their family. The actual going out and killing elephants and rhinos, that requires very large firearms. That's a whole coordinated effort. That's what they classify as commercial poaching. So that's one of the big issues that we're trying to address. Just a few days before I came here, probably a week ago, I was in Zimbabwe at the Zambezi National Park near Victoria Falls. There's an anti-poaching unit that we work with there, so I brought them a bunch of equipment and actually went out on patrols with them, and we were removing snares directly from the national park. I think I mentioned last time we were there, one of the things that we've done for them is to bring them cell phones, and they're essentially creating with the local population a network of spies which counteract all of the poaching. You know, the people are ready to have a smartphone, and in exchange they'll notify the authorities if they notice poaching is taking place.
Now, last month I was telling Dave about a story I had read about we've seen poachers going in on trucks with big guns. We've seen them doing it via helicopter, shooting at these animals from the sky. But we recently heard about cyanide, like salt bricks, being left in the wild where they would poison dozens of elephants at one time.
Absolutely. Actually, we found one of those cyanide pools when I was with the anti-poaching unit in Zimbabwe there, and it's just a teaspoon of this into a small pan, a little mud puddle as they call it, that collects the rainwater, and there were 3 dead elephant carcasses within a 20-yard area. So it's just outrageous. It's not even individually taking the animals. It's just killing everything en masse. It kills the vultures. It kills the warthogs. It kills the antelope. Everything that comes and drinks out of the pool, it kills everything.
Last time we talked to you, and before we let you go, and before we don't want to run up your satellite phone bill here, before we let you go, last time we talked to you, we know that you had some water problems because of the flooding at the Myrtle Beach Safari, where you are most of the time. How did everything turn out? Did all the big cats get their swimming lessons in? Did everything turn out all right?
You know, everything worked out perfectly for us. We are very fortunate that our property is actually up on a kind of a hill, so we didn't actually get any flooding directly onto the property. There was some water in the front yard, and I'm sure you guys saw there were some epic videos of the tigers running and playing in the water. But in a couple hours, it was gone. Further down the road, there was some standing water. So, of course, we had to take the opportunity of going out there on the paddle boards and having the chimp go along and just, kind of making the best we could of the situation and kind of putting a lighter spin on the whole story. There was enough devastation already.
Well, we appreciate your time this morning. Robert Johnson, live from Uganda. He is there from Myrtle Beach Safari and the Tigers Preserve. If you want to find out more, myrtlebeachsafari.com. You can find out more at the website. Thanks so much for everything you do, as always, and great to hear from you this morning. What time is it there? About 4 in the afternoon or something like that?
Yeah, it is. It's actually, it's 3:15 right now, and I'm actually headed, when I was talking to Liz before, we did a bunch of conservation work with chimpanzees up in Chibali National Park up in the north. So right now I am driving down to the windy, impenetrable forest. I'll be there late tonight, and we're doing a lot of ongoing conservation with the mountain gorillas as well. So that's where we're headed. Again, all the funds, all the supplies, everything is being provided to these people are from the Myrtle Beach Safari and from the Rare Species Fund, the nonprofit portion of our organization.
So it's going to be your version of Gorillas in the Mist today. Is that what you're saying?
It is quite literally. I'll share some photos and videos with you when I get back. But tomorrow morning, I will be up bright and early, hiking through the mountains, through the mist, tracking a family of mountain gorillas with a group that we work with called Conservation Through Public Health. And these people are monitoring the health of the gorillas and the communicability of the diseases between the animals, the humans in the area, and the livestock. So they're very important. We've been working with them for about the past 4 years. We've just started working with the Uganda Wildlife Authority, the government officials in charge of the national parks. So we're very excited to be taking part in all of these conservation projects, taking money from the Grand Strand and putting it to global use.
Thanks so much for everything you do, Robert Johnson. We appreciate your time this morning.
Incredible. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Not at all. 7:21, it's Hot Talk 99.5, Hot Talk Morning Show, along with Dave and Liz.
Rare Species Song.